The evening was thick with the smell of roasted garlic, sizzling onions, and the faint sweetness of grilled corn. The food truck line wrapped around the block, filled with tired office workers, college students, and locals who had come to know the little truck called Lena's Kitchen. Behind the counter, wearing a faded apron with sauce stains she didn't have time to scrub out, stood Lena herself, her hair tied up in a messy bun, cheeks flushed from the heat of the grill, and hands moving so fast it looked like she had been born into this chaos. She didn't see herself as special, just a girl who worked too hard for too little money, running a food truck that was her late father's dream. Some nights she thought about closing it for good, but then she'd remember his voice. Lena, food feeds more than the stomach, it feeds the soul. So she stayed. No matter how heavy the debt, no matter how long the hours. That night, like every night, the line was long. She barely looked at the customers anymore, just took their orders, handed them food, smiled politely, and moved on. But then she felt something strange, a presence in the line. A man in a sharp suit, tall, broad-shouldered, stood waiting like everyone else. Yet, unlike the rest, he didn't fidget with his phone or look annoyed at the wait. He simply watched her, almost as though he'd been waiting far longer than this moment. Lena noticed, but dismissed it. She didn't have time to care who was in line. When he finally stepped forward, she asked the same question she asked everyone. "What'll it be tonight?" The man smiled, but she didn't notice the warmth in it. One grilled chicken wrap. Extra sauce. She scribbled the order and turned away. But just as she did, he leaned in slightly and whispered, "Still remember me?" Her hands froze. The pen dropped. She turned slowly, eyes narrowing as if trying to cut through fog in her memory. His face sharp jawline, dark eyes that carried both strength and softness. It stirred something buried deep. And then it hit her. High school. Back before her world turned upside down, a boy who used to sit at the back of class, quiet, awkward, bullied for being poor. A boy she had once defended when others laughed at his worn-out shoes. A boy named Ethan. "Ethan," she whispered, disbelief in her voice. His smile deepened. "So, you do remember." Her chest tightened. The boy who used to stutter when he read aloud in class now stood before her in a suit that looked like it cost more than her monthly earnings. He looked powerful, confident, worlds away from the Ethan she knew. She blinked, forcing herself to focus on the grill. "Of course, I remember. But what are you doing here? You look different." He chuckled softly. "Life has a way of changing us." He paused, lowering his voice. "I built a company, a tech firm. It did well." Her heart skipped. Of course, he wasn't just successful. He was that Ethan Hayes, the CEO whose name she'd read about in the business section of the paper she used to wrap fish and chips. "Wow," she muttered, flipping the wrap. "And here you are, eating at a food truck." He leaned forward on the counter, his eyes never leaving hers. "Not just any food truck. Your food truck." Her breath caught. She laughed nervously, trying to shake it off. It's nothing special, just me trying to make ends meet." But Ethan didn't laugh. He saw the exhaustion beneath her smile, the calluses on her hands, the way her shoulders carried a weight no one her age should have to bear. He remembered that girl from high school, the one who gave him half her lunch when others mocked him. He remembered the way her kindness had been his only light in a dark time. "Lena," he said gently, "you don't know what you meant to me back then. You stood up for me when no one else would. I never forgot." Her throat tightened, but she shook her head. "That was years ago. Don't make it sound like I did something life-changing." But Ethan's voice was steady. It was life-changing. Silence hung between them, broken only by the sizzling of the grill. Finally, she slid his wrap into a paper basket and handed it over here, on the house. But Ethan didn't take it. Instead, he gently pushed it back. "No, I didn't come here for free food." He hesitated, then added, "I came here for you." Her eyes widened. "Ethan," he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I've built everything, money, power, recognition. But it feels empty. And then one night, I saw your food truck online. I knew I had to see you again. To thank you. Maybe even," he faltered, searching her face, "to see if there's still a place for me in your life." Lena's heart raced, torn between disbelief and something she hadn't felt in years' hope, but she shook her head. "Ethan, I'm not who I used to be. This truck is all I have. My life is messy, complicated. You deserve someone, I deserve someone real," he interrupted firmly. "And that's you." Tears burned her eyes, but she quickly turned away, pretending to wipe the counter. Customers were still waiting. She couldn't fall apart here. But Ethan didn't push. He stepped back, leaving his card on the counter. "I'll be around. If you ever decide you don't want to carry all this alone," then, with a gentle smile, he walked away, leaving her breathless. For days, Lena tried to bury the moment. But Ethan came back, not once, not twice, but almost every night. Sometimes he ordered food, sometimes he just stood nearby, talking to her between customers, making her laugh in ways she thought she'd forgotten how. Slowly, the wall around her heart began to crack. One night, as rain poured and customers scattered, Ethan stood by her truck, soaked to the bone. He offered to help her close up. She resisted at first, but finally let him. Together they packed boxes, wiped counters, and locked up. Standing in the rain, he caught her hand. "Lena," he whispered, "let me help you. Not just with this truck, but with life. You were there for me when I was nobody. Let me be there for you now." Her lips trembled, tears mixing with the rain. She wanted to say no, to push him away out of fear. But deep down, she knew this was the boy she once believed in, now a man who believed in her. She nodded slowly, her voice breaking. "Okay, Ethan, but not because you're a millionaire. Because you never forgot me." He smiled, pulling her into his arms as the rain washed over them. In the months that followed, things changed. Ethan didn't swoop in and save her. He worked beside her. He invested in her dream, helping her turn the little food truck into a thriving business. Together, they opened a small restaurant in her father's name. But more importantly, Lena found something she thought she'd lost forever: love, faith, and a partner who saw her worth even when she couldn't. And every time Ethan stood in line, waiting patiently, just like everyone else, he would smile at her and whisper, "Still remember me?" And she'd laugh, eyes shining. "How could I ever forget?" Message. Sometimes the people we overlook, or the kindness we give without expecting anything back, become the very blessings that change our lives forever.